Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome you all to join this presentation about universal design and its relationship with elderly. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, AUF, Mike, and also your active participation in this first of its kind, in my view, about YouTube presentation for knowledge sharing about OTs. Here's come to today's rundown. First of all, I would like to give a brief introduction of what I'm doing in Hong Kong. Then I will talk about some statistics about the global population and also the regional and local population, both in Hong Kong and also in Philippines. Then I will talk about what is universal design and why UD is important to an aging society. After talking about the theoretical aspect about universal design, I will give some experience about how to achieve in UD environment. No matter it is in Hong Kong or in Philippines or in any workplace that you all will be coming across when you graduated. And lastly, I will talk about is UD related to elderly only and that other population cannot benefit from it. I am David Lau and I'm an occupational therapist registered in Hong Kong. I have completed my bachelor's studies in OT in Hong Kong and also completed a professional diploma in primary healthcare and also a Master of Social Science in Behavioral Health from the University of Hong Kong. I'm also a certified vital steam provider, which is a kind of therapy for people with swallowing difficulties. Since there are quite a number of elderly people in Hong Kong having dementia, I have studied a dementia care method course which is organized by university in UK. One of the reasons why I start this YouTube presentation is that I am actively involved in online media for the promotion of OTs. And I guess you also actively participate in Facebook and also in others online media. I have started a WFOT 2014 discussion group in Facebook, which is later changed to WFOT 2018. I'm sure you can get more updates from this group. Also, I have given a YouTube presentation on a Kawa model which has happened in June this year. Next, our world is getting more crowded and crowded. And as the data in February this year, there are about 7 billion people in the world. And you can see from the top right hand corner of the graph, the solid graph is the population in the 1970s, while that in line is the population shown in 2014. You can see that the number of young people is shrinking, while the number of middle-aged and elderly population is getting more and more. You can see from here, this region, it is getting fatter and fatter, which means that there are more and more people in their middle age and also getting old. But you can also see that the younger generation is shrinking at a more rapid speed. And when we look into the statistics in Asia, you can see that the shrinking of young people is more rigorous than that of the overall population in the world, and that the population of elderly people is getting more than in other countries. Here, I would like to show you some graphs about the population projected in 2014 and 2050. You can see in 2050 there will be around 9 billion people in Hong Kong in the world, which is much more than that in 2014. In terms of the condition in Hong Kong, there are around 7 million people in Hong Kong in 2014, and that in 2050 it is predicted to have around 8 million people. How about Philippines? You can see there are around 100 million people in 2014, and it is projected that it will rise to 157 million people in 2050. Next, I would like to talk about the aging population in Hong Kong. As you can see from the chart, the number of people aged 65 or above is getting more and more. In 2001, which is shown in the left-hand side of the graph, the median age of the Hong Kong population is only 37.2, while that in 2013 it has been increased to 43 years old. And you can also see that the population is rising from 500,000 in 2001 to around 1 million in 2013, and it is projected that this trend will continue to increase. When I look into the aging population in Philippines, it is rather different from that in Hong Kong. When compared with the data from 2000 and 2010, the population pyramid hasn't changed very much, meaning that the younger generation is still a majority in your countries. And I get this news from internet. Although aging population may be a boom to most of the countries in the world, but this online news saying that Philippines will not face the problem of aging population until the year of 2030. And you can see in this paragraph, by 2015, there is only an estimate of about 4% of total population is elderly. And based on the definition of the United Nations, at least 7% of population who is aged 65 years old or higher is classified as an aging population. And hence, the crisis that the countries that you are facing is rather low when compared with other regions in Asia and also in the world. But you should bear in mind that you have more time for the preparation for the aging population, so that when people get old, they can get better service and also get better facilities. Next, I will talk about the life expectancy and also the birth rate. With the advancement in medical technologies, the life expectancy of people is continuous continues to rise. You can see in a global perspective, the life expectancy rises from 58 years old in the 1970s to 71 in 2013. And the figures on the right show that Hong Kong people has one of the highest life expectancy in the world. While the life expectancy is continuing to increase, there is a decrease in the birth rate. The birth rate is defined as the number of child per woman given in her life. You can see in Hong Kong, 3.3 babies were born per woman in the 1970s, but it has sharply dropped to 1.1 in 2013. And that in Philippines, it follows the same trend that it drops from 6.3 in 1970s to 3.0 in 2013. And from this slide, you can see that it is expected to get less and less young people, while the number of older people will continue to increase. So, what does it mean of the previous diagrams? As I have just said, more aging people with longer expectancy, and there will be less young people in the society. I will talk about the challenge that an aging population will face in terms of medical, social, and economical aspect. Before I talk about this challenge, I would like to give you a brief view about how to classify if a society or country is aging or not. Based on the definition of United Nations, an aging society is defined as the 7% of the overall population aged over 65 years old. And an aged society has a population that 40% of people are over 65. And super aging society is that 20% of population are over 65 years old. In Hong Kong, around 13% of population are people over 65, and hence it is going from an aging society to an aged society. In terms of medical aspect, the increase in life expectancy means that more and more long-term illnesses are getting common. Some common long-term illnesses are included in this slide, including hypertension, diabetes, cancer, stroke or CVA, dementia, Parkinsonism, heart disease, and also obesity. In terms of the social aspect, the society nowadays are still focusing on the younger generation, as they are more productive and they are able to earn money and spend their money. In Hong Kong, most of the product or service are targeted at the young generation, and I think that the same trend happens in Philippines. And that the society nowadays still neglect the needs and also ignore the potential benefits of the elderly population. They will just treat elderly as a burden to the society, and they are spending others' money. Even some radical thinks that elderly people should live in old age home instead of living in their own home. In terms of the economical aspect, elderly people are mostly retired, and hence they will be creating a financial burden to themselves, their families, and also to society. And in Hong Kong, it is often discussed about the following issues: that the number of elderly cared by per young people is increasing. It is projected that there will be one elderly in every 4 young people today, and that in 2030 it will be changed to 1 elderly to 3 young people. I have talked about an aging population and some demographic data, but how does it relate to UD? Before I talk about what is UD, I would like to say that most elderly people that I face in Hong Kong, they prefer to stay and age in their home until the last moment that they enter old age home, and it is called aging in place. And that aging in place is highly related to universal design. Universal design, by definition, is an art of designing products, items, service, and also space so that everyone can use it without challenges. And during my course of work, I have come across with some other terms, which include accessible design and barrier-free design. But in our following discussion, I prefer using the concept of universal design because accessible design will refer to any kind of design that is accessible by people with disabilities. And barrier-free design share the similar concept. Universal design is not limited to design that can benefit people with disabilities, but also people with able bodies as well. In universal design, there are 7 principles that you need to memorize if you want to study more about it. The first one is equitable use, flexibility in use, simple and intuitive use. The fourth one is perceptible information. 5. Tolerance for error. 6. Low physical effort. And lastly, size and space for approach and use. But what does these 7 principles mean and how they can be applied in your daily practice? I will talk about it one by one. The first principle is equitable use. It is defined as a kind of design which is useful and marketable to people with diverse abilities. One of the examples I would like to show you is an automatic doors, which is usually placed in shopping malls in Hong Kong. I'm not sure if it is the same in Philippines. Maybe Mike, could you ask your students about it or ask them to explore in their communities? You can see in shopping malls with automatic doors, no matter what disabilities or abilities people have, they are able walkers, they are elderly people using walking aids, people using wheelchairs, or parents pushing their trolleys, and many others. When they approach these automatic doors, the doors will open until they get entered. And another example that I usually demonstrate is a one-touch can opener. This is a kind of product powered by batteries, And you can see from the graphics labeled 1, 2, and 3, it is very simple to use. You just place the can opener on the top of the can, press the green button, and from step 2, it will automatically function and open the can. There is some YouTube video showing how it's actioned, and you can just type one touch can opener and easily you can find them. The second principle is flexibility in use. It refers to the design that accommodates a wide range of individual preference and abilities. One of the examples that I would like to show you is a kind of easy plug-in plug. For people having arthritis, they will find it very difficult to plug in or plug out of an electric plug. This kind of easy plug will provide a more easy access for them to plug in or to plug out. A second example is a height adjustable table. This kind of table has a control which allows the height of the table to be adjusted. Hence, you can think that people, no matter they are standing, sitting, or using wheelchair, or they are kids, they can adjust the height of the table to fit their needs. The first one is simple and intuitive use. It is defined as easy to understand and to use, regardless of the user experience, knowledge, language skills, or current concentration levels. One of the examples that I always use is the example of iPhone. If you have an iPhone, I guess you will not see the user menu hidden before you use the phone. In my point of view, iPhone has a user interface designed that allows users to use it without much training. The fourth one is perceivable information. It means the designs communicate necessary information effectively to the users, regardless of ambient conditions and user sensory abilities. Some examples include large and clear signage. It is one of the photos, although I gathered from the internet, but I do experience this when I visited Japan in 2013, joining some exhibition. The signage in Japan has a very large and clear words, and that the lighting enables people with visual problems to see them very easily. Another example is that handrails with a big color contrast is also demonstrate the fourth principle. The fifth principle is about the tolerance for error. It means the design of product or service minimizes the hazards and also the adverse consequence of accidental or unintended actions. Or in our OT terms, it is called a failure-free design. One example is you can see these home utensils with a large handles which can be used by people with resource abilities, and that it can minimize the injury. Also, in computer programs, it is believed that the undo button in many programs, including PowerPoint, Word, or Excel, you can undo a certain action. by clicking the undo action, by clicking the undo button. The sixth principle is about no physical effort. The design can be used efficiently and comfortably, and with a minimal level of fatigue. One of the examples is this kind of water tape. Elderly people or people with disabilities can easily open this water tape by a single push of the water tape instead of turning. Also, automatic soap dispenser is the kind of product that demonstrates this principle. The seventh principle is about the size and space for approach and use. An appropriate size and space is provided for easier approach, reach, manipulation, and also use, regardless of user's body size, postures, or mobility. One of the examples I would like to show you here is a kind of access a universal design kitchen. You can see on the right hand corner there is some knee space provided for people using wheelchair to prepare their meals. Also, this rack, which is holded in the cupboard, can be pulled down for easier access. And I get this picture from Facebook. I'm not sure if it is real or not, but I think the concept of it is very good. You can see the stairs and the ramp are integrated as one. And another example is that we will include the wheelchair users to try the equipment so that they can provide their opinion. So, why is universal design important to the elderly? This comes to some OT philosophies. OT concerns about people's ADL, work, and leisure, which is classified as their occupations. But the characteristic of elderly people is that their physical health are deteriorating, they have poor cognitive function, low motivation levels, and they also have a fear to spend money, which in turn affects their performance in ADL, work, and leisure. By applying the concept of universal design in products and services, they can be more accessible to elderly. And as mentioned before, one of the principles of UD is failure-free design, and this means that this can ensure no danger will be caused to the elderly if they use the items or service in a wrong fashion. For example, in the case of iPhone, if the elderly accidentally do some wrong action in the phone, he or she can just press the home button and everything should be returned to normal and to the home screen. The ease of use of the product and service can encourage elderly people to participate fully and also freely. Items which are durable and adjusted to their needs will make the elderly believe that the money that they spend on purchasing the products and services are worth. The previous are about some principles of universal design. But how can we achieve UD in your context? The first thing that you need to think of is universal design is not only achieved by OT only. There are many stakeholders in order to make this happen. Since most people talking about UDs will think about the building structures, architect is one of the stakeholders in it. As I have said before, many items can be designed to fit the needs of elderly people. Hence, various kind of designer, no matter interior designer or product designer, they need to learn the concept of universal design and apply them in their daily practice. The first one is commercial company. To encourage elderly people or people with disabilities to participate in this society, commercial company, no matter it is service or product companies, in Hong Kong, we will say bus company, transport company, supermarket, shopping malls are our stakeholders in designing products and services for people with disabilities or elderly. One of the important stakeholders is the government. To promote the concept of UD, government has a leading role in the promotion and also the support. And the last two, we should not forget elderly and also caregivers, because they are the ultimate users of the service and also the products. Without their ideas and opinions, you will not design a product or service which fits their needs. In order to apply UD in your context, the initial step should be understanding the principle of universal design. Second one, getting stakeholder involvement is very important. In Hong Kong, we will conduct focus group, interview, or other kinds of data collection methods in order to gather the information from them. And the next step is trial and error. Do not fear that the product that you design is not accessible. Even a product is accessible to a particular population, it means that you need to gather the information from the users so that you can make improvement to your products and service. Next, exchange your ideas with your students, friends, and many others, as many as possible, so that you can design a product which is universally accessible by all. And with the advancement in technology, there are many kinds of information which you can explore online, including website, Facebook, blog, and conference handout. Why I'm talking about elderly all in my presentation? Because in Hong Kong, I'm working in outreach program for the elderly people. But I would like to stress that universal design does not only benefit elderly only, and they are only one of the beneficiaries. You can see from this solid line, you can treat it as products which is commonly used by people in the society nowadays. But with a training in universal design and the development of products and services using the concept of universal design, we can enlarge the circle to the dotted line, meaning that more people with diverse abilities, no matter it is minority able-bodied people, elderly people, people with disabilities, or people with temporary restriction, for example, pregnant women, and also people in other countries can benefit from the principle of universal design. I guess my presentation will come to the final of today. And before I end my presentation, I would like to give some final wordings. We, as OTs, are concerned about people's ADL, work and leisure. And we hope that we can use activities or items so as to achieve the maximum levels of independence. From my bachelor training, we are usually trained about the management of acute conditions, and I guess it is more or less the same in the world. In Hong Kong, in the past decade, community OTs are getting more and more important, and that clients' concerns in their lifelong process are important too. And you should also remember that occupation is a lifelong event, not just happen in hospital only. Universal design is one of the important concepts that you need to learn, to use, and to make benefits. But you also need to remember that universal design is only one of the approaches to use in your daily practice. There are other kinds of approaches that you can use. I hope you will enjoy this presentation, and feel free to leave your questions to Mike, and he will collect the questions and give the feedback to me. Also, I hope we can have more collaboration in the future time as we are close neighbor in Asia. I think more collaboration means more opportunities, and in return, people in Hong Kong and Philippines will benefit from us. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed